Anna's hands trembled as she stared at the ultrasound image in her purse. 8 weeks. The technician's words echoed in her mind as she sat in the back of Luke's black SUV, watching the Chicago skyline blur past the tinted windows. He had promised her everything just hours ago, that she would replace his wife, that they would be together, that their love was worth destroying his marriage for. But the tiny heartbeat she'd seen on that screen changed everything. This wasn't just about them anymore. This was about the child growing inside her, a child whose father had no idea existed, a child who would either complete their forbidden love story or destroy it entirely. The SUV pulled up to the penthouse, and Anna knew that in minutes she would have to tell Luke the truth that would shatter the promise he'd made her that very morning. Hey there. Welcome to Mafia and Romance. We've got an incredibly emotional story for you today that will take you on a roller coaster of feelings. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support makes all the difference in bringing you these passionate stories. Let's dive in. Ana Martinez had never imagined her life would become this complicated. 3 months ago, she was just another nurse at Chicago General Hospital, working double shifts to pay off her student loans and support her younger sister's college tuition. Her world was predictable, safe, and entirely her own. Then Luke Castellano walked into the cardiac unit with a gunshot wound, and everything changed. She still remembered that night vividly. The emergency room had been chaos, sirens wailing, doctors shouting orders, blood on the pristine white floors. Luke had been conscious despite the bullet lodged near his shoulder, his dark eyes scanning the room with the calculating intensity of a man who trusted no one. When Anna approached his gurney to check his vitals, those eyes locked onto hers, and she felt something shift in her chest. "You're not afraid," he had observed, his voice rough with pain but tinged with curiosity. "Should I be?" Anna had replied, maintaining her professional composure while her heart raced. That simple exchange had been the beginning of everything. Now, 3 months later, Anna stood in the marble lobby of Luke's downtown Chicago penthouse, her reflection multiplied in the polished surfaces around her. She wore a simple black dress, elegant but not ostentatious, the kind of outfit that wouldn't draw attention when she entered through the private elevator. Luke had taught her to be invisible in his world, to exist in the shadows between his public life and his private desires. The elevator climbed silently to the 40th floor, each passing second bringing her closer to a conversation that would change everything. Her phone buzzed with a text from Luke. "Maria is at her charity meeting until 8. We have time." Maria, Luke's wife of 10 years, the woman whose photographs lined the hallways of this very building, whose name appeared in Chicago society pages, whose existence had become the biggest obstacle to Anna's happiness. Luke spoke of her with a mixture of duty and distance, describing their marriage as a business arrangement that had long since lost any pretense of love. "She knows," Luke had told Anna just that morning, his hands cupping her face as they lay tangled in silk sheets. "Maria knows about us, about how I feel about you. I'm going to ask her for a divorce. You're going to be my wife, Anna, I promise you that." The elevator doors opened to reveal Luke waiting for her, still wearing his charcoal suit from whatever business meeting had occupied his afternoon. At 34, he commanded attention without effort, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that made people step aside when he walked into a room. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his jaw clean-shaven, but Anna could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands clenched and unclenched at his sides. "You look beautiful," he said, pulling her into his arms the moment the elevator doors closed behind her. Anna melted into his embrace, breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne mixed with something uniquely him. For a moment, she allowed herself to forget about the ultrasound image burning a hole in her purse, forget about the impossible situation growing more complicated by the hour. "How did the meeting go?" she asked, her voice muffled against his chest. Luke's arms tightened around her. "It's handled. The Torino family won't be a problem anymore." His tone carried the weight of finality that Anna had learned not to question. In Luke's world, problems had permanent solutions, and she had made peace with not knowing the details. He led her into the living room, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of Lake Michigan. The space was decorated in shades of cream and gold, every piece of furniture carefully chosen to project wealth and power. It was beautiful, but it felt cold to Anna, more like a museum than a home. "I spoke with my lawyer today," Luke said, pouring himself a glass of whiskey from the crystal decanter on the side table. "He's drawing up the divorce papers. Maria and I will have a civilized conversation, and then we'll be free to be together openly." Anna's heart clenched. "Luke, we need to talk about something important." He turned to face her, his expression immediately alert. "What's wrong? You look pale." "I'm fine. Anna's words died in her throat as the sound of the elevator chimed through the apartment. Luke's entire demeanor shifted, his body going rigid with tension. "She's early," he muttered, moving quickly to the window. "Anna, you need to go to the bedroom now." But it was too late. The sound of heels clicking against marble echoed through the foyer, and Maria Castellano appeared in the doorway of the living room. She was exactly as beautiful as her photograph suggested. Tall, elegant, with platinum blonde hair swept into a perfect chignon, and wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than Anna made in 6 months. "Hello, darling," Maria said to Luke, her voice carrying a slight Italian accent. Then her ice-blue eyes fixed on Anna. "And you must be the nurse." The silence that followed Maria's words was deafening. Anna felt frozen in place, her mind racing as she tried to process the fact that Luke's wife knew exactly who she was. This wasn't the surprise discovery she had feared. This was something far more calculated. "Maria," Luke said, his voice carefully controlled. "We need to talk." "Oh, I think we're past talking, don't you?" Maria moved into the room with the grace of a woman who had never doubted her place in the world. She set her purse on the coffee table and regarded Anna with curious detachment. "Please, sit down, both of you. I have something to say, and I'd prefer we handle this like civilized adults." Anna looked to Luke, who gave her a barely perceptible nod. They sat on opposite ends of the cream-colored sofa, while Maria took the chair across from them, crossing her legs elegantly. "I've known about your affair for 2 months, Maria began, her tone conversational. "At first I was angry. Then I was hurt. But then I realized something. This might actually be the solution to both our problems." Luke leaned forward. "What are you talking about?" "Our marriage, darling. It's been dead for years, hasn't it? We both know it. We stay together for appearances, for business, for the sake of the families. But we're not happy." Maria's gaze shifted to Anna. "And you, my dear, you're clearly in love with my husband. I can see it in the way you look at him." Anna felt heat rise in her cheeks, but forced herself to meet Maria's stare. "I never meant for this to happen." "I'm sure you didn't. Love rarely asks for permission." Maria's smile was surprisingly kind. "The question is, what do we do about it?" Luke stood abruptly, pacing to the window. "Maria, if you're willing to discuss divorce terms, I'm willing to discuss more than that." Maria's interruption made both Luke and Anna turn to stare at her. "I'm willing to step aside entirely, quietly, amicably, with a settlement that ensures I'm comfortable for the rest of my life." Anna's heart began to race. This was exactly what Luke had promised her that morning, but hearing it from Maria's lips made it feel surreal. "There's just one condition," Maria continued, and Anna felt her stomach drop. "What condition?" Luke asked, his voice sharp with suspicion. Maria stood and walked to her purse, withdrawing a manila envelope. "I need to know that you're serious about this woman, that this isn't just another affair that will burn out in 6 months, leaving me divorced and alone while you move on to your next conquest." She handed the envelope to Luke, who opened it with visible reluctance. Anna watched his face go pale as he read whatever was inside. "What is it?" Anna asked, though part of her already knew. "A pregnancy test," Maria said calmly. "Positive. Taken this morning in the bathroom of this very apartment." Anna's world tilted. "How did you—" "I have cameras, dear. Discreet ones, but effective." Maria's expression remained serene. "The question is, whose baby is it?" The accusation hit Anna like a physical blow. She shot to her feet, anger overriding her shock. "How dare you suggest—" "I'm not suggesting anything," Maria said. "I'm simply pointing out that a positive pregnancy test was found in my home, and I'd like to know if my husband is the father." Luke's hands were shaking as he stared at the test results. "Anna, is this true? Are you pregnant?" The moment Anna had been dreading was here, but not at all how she had imagined it. She had planned to tell Luke privately, to share the news in a moment of intimacy and love. Instead, she was being interrogated like a criminal in front of his wife. "Yes," she whispered. "I found out this morning. I was going to tell you tonight." Luke sank back onto the sofa, the papers falling from his hands. "How long have you known?" "I just told you this morning. I went to the doctor because I'd been feeling sick and they did the test." Anna's voice grew stronger as she spoke. "I came here to tell you, Luke. I would never keep something like this from you." Maria watched this exchange with the detached interest of someone observing a chess match. "Well, this certainly complicates things, doesn't it?" "Complicates things?" Anna turned on her, fury blazing in her dark eyes. "This is your husband's child we're talking about. Our child." "Is it?" Maria's question was soft, but devastating. Luke stood slowly, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. "Anna, I need you to be completely honest with me. Have you been with anyone else?" The question felt like a slap. Anna stared at the man she loved, the man who had promised to marry her just hours ago, and saw doubt in his eyes. "How can you ask me that?" "Because I need to know," Luke said, his voice rough with emotion. "Because if we're going to do this, if we're going to tear apart everything I've built for the past 10 years, I need to know that this child is mine." Anna felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of Maria. Not when everything she had dreamed of was crumbling around her. "The child is yours, Luke. I've never been with anyone else since we've been together. But if you can't trust me enough to believe that..." She picked up her purse from the coffee table, her hands steady despite the chaos in her heart. Then maybe Maria is right to question whether this is real. She walked toward the elevator, each step feeling like a mile. Behind her, she heard Luke call her name, but she didn't turn around. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped inside, finally allowing the tears to fall as the doors closed between them. Anna didn't sleep that night. She sat in her small apartment on the south side of Chicago, staring out at the city lights and replaying every moment of the disastrous evening. Her phone buzzed constantly with calls and texts from Luke, but she ignored them all. How could she face him after the way he had looked at her, after the doubt she had seen in his eyes? The next morning brought no relief. Anna dragged herself to the hospital for her shift, hoping that work would provide some distraction from the chaos of her personal life. But even the familiar routine of checking on patients and updating charts couldn't quiet the storm in her mind. "You look terrible," observed Dr. Sarah Chen, Anna's closest friend at the hospital. "Rough night?" Anna managed a weak smile. "Something like that." "Want to talk about it? I've got 10 minutes before my next surgery." Anna considered confiding in Sarah, but how could she explain the complexity of her situation, that she was pregnant with a mafia boss's child, that his wife knew about their affair, that everything she had hoped for was falling apart? "It's complicated," she said finally. Sarah studied her with the sharp eyes of someone who had seen too much human drama in hospital corridors. "Complicated usually means married." Before Anna could respond, her phone rang. Luke's name appeared on the screen, and her heart clenched. She let it go to voicemail, but Sarah had seen the caller ID. "Luke Castellano." Sarah's eyebrows shot up. "As in the Luke Castellano who owns half of downtown Chicago." "Anna, what have you gotten yourself into?" Anna's silence was answer enough. Sarah grabbed her arm and pulled her into an empty patient room, closing the door behind them. "Tell me you're not involved with that man," Sarah said urgently. "Anna, do you know what he is? What he's connected to?" "I know exactly what he is," Anna replied, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. "And I love him anyway." Sarah stared at her in disbelief. "Love him? Anna, that man is dangerous. The things I've heard, the rumors about what happens to people who cross him." "He's not like that with me," Anna interrupted. "You don't know him the way I do, and you don't know him the way the rest of Chicago does." Sarah's voice softened with concern. "Honey, men like that don't leave their wives for their mistresses. They keep both, and the women who think they're special end up hurt, or worse." Anna's phone buzzed with a text. Despite herself, she looked at it. "I'm coming to the hospital. We need to talk." "Luke." "He's coming here," Anna whispered. Sarah looked alarmed. "Anna, you can't see him here. If people start connecting you to him professionally, it could ruin your career. Think about what you're risking." But Anna was already moving toward the door. "I have to face this, Sarah. I can't keep running." She made it to the hospital lobby, just as Luke's black SUV pulled up to the main entrance. He stepped out wearing a dark suit and sunglasses, looking every inch the powerful businessman he pretended to be. But Anna could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw was set with determination. He spotted her immediately and strode across the lobby, oblivious to the stares and whispers that followed in his wake. When he reached her, he took her hands in his touch warm and familiar. "We need to talk," he said simply. "Luke, you can't be here. People will see." "I don't care who sees." His voice was low but intense. "Anna, I was wrong last night. I should never have questioned you, should never have let Maria manipulate the situation like that." Anna felt her resolve wavering. This was the Luke she had fallen in love with, the man who looked at her like she was the only person in the world who mattered. "You hurt me," she said quietly. "When you asked if the baby was yours, when you looked at me like I was some stranger you couldn't trust." "I know, and I'm sorry. I was shocked, overwhelmed, finding out about the pregnancy from Maria instead of from you, having her twist it into something ugly." Luke's hands tightened on hers. "But I never doubted you, Anna. Not really. I was just scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared that this was too good to be true. Scared that someone like you could really love someone like me." Luke's voice dropped to a whisper. "Scared that I was about to become a father, and I had no idea how to be the kind of man a child deserves." Anna felt her anger beginning to melt. "Luke, I want this baby, Anna. I want you. I want the life we talked about." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. "I was going to wait. Do this properly, but I can't wait anymore." Anna's breath caught as he opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, not ostentatious, but clearly expensive and chosen with care. "Marry me," Luke said, his dark eyes locked on hers. "Not because of the baby, not because of Maria, but because I love you more than I've ever loved anything in my life." The hospital lobby seemed to fade away around them. Anna was dimly aware of people stopping to stare, of whispered conversations and pointing fingers, but none of it mattered. All that mattered was Luke, kneeling in front of her in his perfectly tailored suit, offering her everything she had ever dreamed of. "Yes," she whispered, and then louder, "Yes, I'll marry you." Luke slipped the ring onto her finger and stood to kiss her, and for a moment Anna believed that everything would be perfect, that love really could conquer all, that their story would have the happy ending she had always hoped for. She had no way of knowing that Maria Castellano was watching from a car across the street, her phone pressed to her ear as she spoke to someone in rapid Italian. She had no way of knowing that the conversation would change everything, or that the ultrasound appointment she had scheduled for that afternoon would reveal a truth that would shatter Luke's promise into 1,000 irreparable pieces. The ultrasound clinic was quiet that afternoon, filled with the soft hum of medical equipment and the nervous excitement of expectant parents. Anna lay on the examination table, Luke's hand clasped tightly in hers as the technician prepared the machine. The engagement ring on her finger caught the light, a tangible reminder of the promise Luke had made just hours earlier. "This is your first ultrasound?" The technician, a kind-faced woman named Janet, asked as she squeezed gel onto Anna's abdomen. "Yes," Anna replied, her voice tight with nervousness. "We just found out about the pregnancy." Luke squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Everything's going to be fine," he murmured, but Anna could hear the tension beneath his calm exterior. Janet positioned the ultrasound wand and began moving it across Anna's skin. The monitor flickered to life, showing grainy black and white images that meant nothing to Anna's untrained eye. But as Janet's expression grew more focused, more concerned, Anna felt her heart begin to race. "Is everything okay?" Luke asked, his business instincts picking up on the technician's changing demeanor. "I need to get a better look at something," Janet said, her professional smile not quite reaching her eyes. She adjusted the wand, pressing it at different angles, her brow furrowed in concentration. Anna felt cold dread settling in her stomach. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the baby? Janet was quiet for a long moment, studying the screen intently. Then she set down the wand and turned to face them, her expression carefully neutral. I'm going to need to call Dr. Rodriguez in to take a look, she said. There's something on the scan that requires a physician's interpretation. What kind of something? Luke's voice had taken on the hard edge Anna recognized from his business dealings. Tell us what you're seeing. I can't make a diagnosis, Mr. Castellano. That's not my job. But Dr. Rodriguez will be able to explain everything. Janet's tone was professionally evasive, but Anna could see the concern in her eyes. The next 20 minutes felt like hours. Anna and Luke sat in tense silence, her hand still in his, both of them staring at the ultrasound screen that had gone dark. When Dr. Rodriguez finally entered the room, Anna could tell immediately that the news wasn't good. Doctor. Rodriguez was a woman in her 50s, with graying hair and kind eyes that had clearly delivered difficult news many times before. She reviewed the ultrasound images on her computer screen before turning to face them. I'm afraid I have some difficult news, she began gently. The ultrasound shows that while there is a gestational sac present, there's no fetal heartbeat. Based on the size of the sac and your reported last menstrual period, we should be seeing cardiac activity by now. Anna felt the world tilt around her. What does that mean? It means you've experienced what we call a missed miscarriage. The pregnancy stopped developing some time ago, but your body hasn't yet recognized the loss. It's more common than you might think, occurring in about 10 to 20% of known pregnancies. The words hit Anna like physical blows. No heartbeat, no baby, no future. She was dimly aware of Luke asking questions about causes, about treatment options, about what happened next, but his voice seemed to come from very far away. Is there anything we could have done differently? Luke was asking. Any way this could have been prevented? No, Dr. Rodriguez said firmly. This type of loss is almost always due to chromosomal abnormalities that are completely random. There's nothing either of you did or didn't do that caused this. Anna finally found her voice. How long ago did it happen? When did it stop? Dr. Rodriguez consulted her notes. Based on the development we can see, I'd estimate the pregnancy stopped progressing around 6 weeks. You're currently measuring at about 8 weeks gestational age, so it's been approximately 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Anna had been carrying around the hope of a future, planning a life with Luke, accepting his proposal, all while the baby they had created was already gone. The cruel irony of it made her feel sick. What happens now? Luke asked, his voice hollow. We have several options for management, Dr. Rodriguez explained gently. We can wait for your body to miscarry naturally, we can use medication to help the process along, or we can perform a minor surgical procedure. I'll give you some time to discuss it and decide what feels right for you. After Dr. Rodriguez left, Anna and Luke sat in the small examination room in stunned silence. The engagement ring on Anna's finger suddenly felt heavy, like a mockery of the promises they had made to each other. Anna, Luke said finally, his voice rough with emotion, I'm so sorry. She turned to look at him and saw tears in his dark eyes, the first time she had ever seen him cry. This powerful man who commanded fear and respect throughout Chicago was broken by the loss of a child he had known about for less than 24 hours. It's not your fault, Anna whispered, though part of her wondered if this was some kind of cosmic punishment for their affair, for the pain they had caused Maria, for the lives they had disrupted in pursuit of their own happiness. Luke pulled her into his arms, and they held each other as the reality of their loss settled around them. The future they had imagined, the wedding, the family, the life they would build together, suddenly seemed impossibly fragile. We'll get through this, Luke murmured against her hair. We'll try again. We'll have our family, Anna, I promise you that. But even as he spoke the words, Anna could hear the doubt creeping into his voice, and when her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number, she felt a chill of premonition. The message was brief, but devastating. Perhaps this is God's way of telling you that some promises aren't meant to be kept, Maria knew. Somehow Luke's wife had found out about the miscarriage, and she was making it clear that she saw it as divine intervention. Anna showed Luke the message, and she watched his face transform from grief to cold fury. "She's been watching us," he said, his voice deadly quiet, "monitoring our every move. Luke, what are you going to do?" He stood abruptly, his businessman's mask sliding back into place. "I'm going to remind my wife that there are consequences for crossing me, and then I'm going to make sure she never interferes in our lives again." As Luke helped Anna down from the examination table, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at a crossroads. The loss of their baby had changed everything, but she wasn't sure if it had brought them closer together or driven them irreparably apart. All she knew was that the promise Luke had made her that morning, to build a life together, to choose love over duty, was about to be tested in ways neither of them had anticipated. The penthouse felt different when Anna and Luke returned that evening. The same cream and gold decor, the same breathtaking view of Lake Michigan, but the atmosphere was charged with tension and unspoken grief. Luke had been silent during the drive home, his jaw set in the hard line Anna had learned to recognize as his business face. "I need to make some calls," he said as they entered the living room. "There are things that need to be handled." Anna knew he was talking about Maria, about the surveillance, about the violation of their privacy during the most painful moment of their relationship. But she also knew that when Luke spoke in that tone, when his eyes went cold and distant, people sometimes disappeared permanently. "Luke, wait." She caught his arm as he headed toward his office. "Promise me you won't do anything you can't take back." He turned to face her, and for a moment, she saw past the mask to the man underneath, grieving, angry, but still the person who had held her while she cried in the doctor's office. "She crossed a line, Anna. She invaded our privacy, used our loss as a weapon against us. I can't let that stand. I know, but violence won't bring our baby back. It won't change what happened." Luke's expression softened slightly. "What do you want me to do? Pretend this never happened? Let her continue to manipulate and control our lives?" Before Anna could answer, the elevator chimed. They both turned toward the sound, and Anna felt her heart sink as Maria Castellano stepped into the penthouse. She was dressed in black, whether out of respect for their loss or as some twisted joke, Anna couldn't tell. "Hello, darling," Maria said to Luke, her voice carrying that same casual tone she had used the night before. "I heard about your disappointing news." Luke moved protectively in front of Anna, his entire body radiating controlled violence. "Get out." "Oh, I don't think so. You see, we have things to discuss. Important things about the future of our marriage, our families, and your little nurse here." Maria walked into the living room as if she owned it, which Anna realized with a sick feeling. She legally did. She sat in the same chair she had occupied the night before, crossing her legs elegantly. "Sit down, both of you. What I have to say concerns you both." "I said get out," Luke repeated, his voice deadly quiet. "And I said we need to talk." Maria's composure never wavered. About the baby that never was, about the promises that can't be kept, and about the choice you're going to have to make. Anna felt Luke tense beside her. What choice? Maria smiled, and it was the coldest expression Anna had ever seen. The choice between your family's honor and your personal desires. You see, while you two were playing house and making promises about the future, I was having very interesting conversations with both our families. She reached into her purse and withdrew a tablet, setting it on the coffee table so they could both see the screen. It showed a series of photographs, Luke and Anna at the hospital, Luke proposing in the lobby, them entering and leaving the ultrasound clinic. "The Torino family is very interested in these images," Maria continued conversationally, "particularly the ones showing you proposing to your mistress in public, making a spectacle of our marriage. They see it as a sign of weakness, of a man who can't control his household or his emotions." Luke's hands clenched into fists. "The Torinos are not your concern." "Oh, but they are. You see, our marriage isn't just about us, is it? It's about the alliance between our families, the business arrangements, the delicate balance of power that keeps Chicago running smoothly." Maria's voice took on a mocking tone. "Did you really think you could throw all of that away for a nurse with a broken heart and an empty womb?" Anna flinched at the cruel words, but Luke stepped forward, his face dark with rage. "Don't you dare—" "What?" "Speak the truth." Maria stood to face him. "The truth is that your little love affair has become a liability. The truth is that our families are questioning your judgment, your loyalty, your ability to lead. The truth is that if you don't end this now, permanently, there will be consequences that go far beyond your personal happiness. Are you threatening me?" Luke's voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of absolute menace. "I'm offering you a choice," Maria replied calmly. "End your relationship with the nurse, publicly recommit to our marriage, and this all goes away. The families will see it as a momentary lapse in judgment, a crisis that you handled appropriately. Your position remains secure, your reputation intact. And if I refuse?" Maria's smile widened. "Then the Torinos will see it as confirmation that you've gone soft, that you're willing to sacrifice family honor for personal pleasure. They'll move against you, Luke. And when they do, they won't just target you, they'll target everyone you care about." Anna felt the blood drain from her face as the implications hit her. "You're using me as leverage." "I'm using reality as leverage," Maria corrected. "The reality is that Luke's world doesn't have room for fairy tale romances and happy endings. The reality is that men in his position don't get to choose love over duty." Luke was silent for a long moment, and Anna could see the war playing out behind his eyes. Everything he had built, everything he had worked for, balanced against the woman he loved. The promise he had made her that morning suddenly seemed impossibly naive. "There's a third option," Luke said finally, his voice steady and cold. Maria raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "I eliminate the threat permanently. The Torinos, you, anyone who thinks they can use the people I love against me." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Maria's composure cracked slightly, and Anna saw fear flicker across her features. "You would start a war over her?" Maria asked, gesturing toward Anna. "I would end one," Luke replied simply. Anna stepped between them, her heart racing with terror at the direction the conversation was heading. "Stop, both of you, just stop." She turned to face Luke, seeing the man she loved preparing to destroy everything for her sake. "Luke, you can't do this. You can't throw away everything you've built. Can't risk the lives of innocent people because of me." "Anna, no, listen to me." Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. "I love you. I love you more than I've ever loved anything in my life, but I won't be the reason you become something you're not. I won't be the reason people die." Luke's face crumpled with anguish. "I can't lose you. Not after losing the baby. Not after everything we've been through." Anna reached up to cup his face in her hands, memorizing every line, every angle. "You're not losing me. You're setting me free to love you the right way." She turned to Maria, who was watching this exchange with calculating eyes. "I'll leave Chicago tonight. I'll disappear and you'll never see me again. In exchange, you leave Luke alone. No more surveillance, no more manipulation, no more threats." "Anna, no," Luke said desperately. "I won't let you sacrifice yourself for me." "It's not a sacrifice," Anna said, though her heart was breaking with every word. "It's a choice. The choice to love you enough to let you go." Maria studied Anna for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "That's acceptable. But understand, if you ever contact him again, if you ever try to come back into his life, the consequences will be severe." Anna nodded, not trusting her voice to remain steady. She slipped the engagement ring off her finger and held it out to Luke, who stared at it as if it were a poisonous snake. "Keep it," he said hoarsely. "Please." Anna shook her head and placed the ring on the coffee table. "Some promises can't be kept, Luke, but that doesn't mean they weren't real when we made them." She walked toward the elevator on unsteady legs, each step feeling like a small death. Behind her, she heard Luke call her name, heard the anguish in his voice, but she didn't turn around. If she looked back, she would never be strong enough to leave. The elevator doors closed between them, and Anna finally allowed herself to cry for everything they had lost. Their baby, their future, their love that had been too fragile to survive in his dangerous world. Sometime later, Anna stood in the pediatric ward of Seattle Children's Hospital, watching a little girl with dark curls and serious brown eyes color a picture at the activity table. The child was one of her regular patients, a 7-year-old named Sophia, who had been born with a heart defect and was awaiting surgery. "Nurse Anna," Sophia called out, holding up her drawing. "Look what I made." Anna walked over to admire the picture. A house with a big garden, stick figures of a family standing in front of it, and a rainbow arcing overhead. "It's beautiful, Sophia. Tell me about it." "It's my dream house," Sophia explained seriously. "When I get better, I'm going to live there with my mama and papa, and we're going to have a big dog and maybe some chickens." Anna smiled, touched by the child's optimism despite everything she had been through. "That sounds wonderful." "Do you have a dream house, Nurse Anna?" The question caught Anna off guard. She thought about the penthouse in Chicago, about the life she had almost had, about the promises that had been broken by circumstances beyond anyone's control. "I used to," Anna said honestly, "but sometimes our dreams change, and that's okay too." Sophia nodded sagely, as if this made perfect sense to her 7-year-old mind. "My mama says that when one dream breaks, it makes room for a better one." Anna felt tears prick her eyes. "Your mama sounds very wise." Later that evening, Anna sat in her small apartment overlooking Puget Sound, grading papers for the nursing students she tutored on weekends. Her life in Seattle was quiet, peaceful, and entirely her own. She had thrown herself into her work, finding purpose in caring for sick children and training the next generation of nurses. Her phone rang, and she glanced at the caller ID before answering. "Hi, Sarah." "Hey, stranger. How's the Pacific Northwest treating you?" Anna smiled at the sound of her old friend's voice. Sarah called every few weeks to check on her, one of the few people who knew the real reason she had left Chicago so suddenly. "It's good. Rainy, but good. How are things at General?" "Busy as always." "Oh, and Anna, I thought you should know. I saw something in the society pages yesterday." Anna's heart clenched, but she kept her voice steady. "What kind of something?" "Luke Castellano and his wife renewed their vows. Big ceremony. All the Chicago elite in attendance. They looked—" Sarah paused, choosing her words carefully. "They looked like the perfect power couple." Anna closed her eyes, absorbing the news. She was happy for Luke, truly. Happy that he had found a way to keep his world intact, that he hadn't had to choose between love and survival. But it still hurt to know that he had moved on, that their story was truly over. "Anna, you still there?" "I'm here. Thank you for telling me." "Are you okay?" Anna looked out at the Seattle skyline, at the life she had built from the ashes of her broken dreams. "I'm okay, Sarah. I really am." After they hung up, Anna returned to her papers, but her mind wandered to a little girl with serious brown eyes who believed that broken dreams made room for better ones. Maybe Sophia's mama was right. Maybe the love she had shared with Luke, brief and impossible as it was, had taught her something valuable about her own strength, her own worth. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, and for a moment her heart stopped. But when she opened it, she found a picture from one of her former patients, a teenager who had beaten cancer and was now starting college. "Thanks for everything, Nurse Anna. You helped save my life." Anna smiled through her tears, understanding finally that some promises were meant to be broken so that better ones could be made. She had promised to love Luke forever, and she would. But she had also promised herself a life of purpose and meaning, and that promise she intended to keep. Outside her window, the Seattle skyline glittered with possibility, and Anna felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope for the future. Not the future she had planned, but the one she was creating, one patient, one student, one small act of healing at a time. This emotional story has come to an end here at Mafia and Romance. If this tale of love, loss, and difficult choices touched your heart, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you these powerful stories of love, conquering all obstacles. Until our next story, remember that sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go.